Activist groups from around the country are here at the Supreme Court representing the Abolitionist Action Committee. Protesters say they hope to garner enough attention to ultimately abolish the death penalty. What are your thoughts on Barack Obama and John McCain both supporting the death penalty in their platforms?
I was quite shocked at Obama's statement, being opposed to the decision that came out. I was very surprised that he would stand by the side of Scalia on that issue. I was very surprised.
So how do you think this will affect the way you perceive the election and ultimately vote personally?
Well, I still plan on voting for Obama. I think he will put better appointments in the Supreme Court for our issue, but I was just very disappointed that he made the statement that he made.
When I've thought about that contradiction and really tossed it over in my mind, I want to believe that one or both, probably Obama, is actually against the death penalty, but it's politically inconvenient to say so. And right now, the way we're really succeeding in overturning the death penalty is in the states anyways. So I think when I make my choice, I'm going to consider a lot of different issues and not focus just on the death penalty. I do hope that Obama maybe at a later point would have an opportunity to speak out on that issue. I don't see that happening, but that's my hope.
Someone like Osama bin Laden, if he's captured, do you support the death penalty for him?
No, I don't. I mean, I'm against killing, period. I mean, somebody like Osama bin Laden, I would think that it would be more intelligent to keep him locked up, secure, and then, I mean, you basically just try to get as much information as you can out of him, because the more information you get out of him, you can watch for anybody that's coming up in the same way, so the more intelligence that we can gather with him, I think that makes more sense than to kill him, because if you execute him, a lot of answers are going to go in the grave with him.
And as far as someone like Osama bin Laden, if he is captured, would you support death penalty sentence for him?
No, I would not.
And what would be your reasoning behind that decision?
What really led me to this movement was my conviction that all life is sacred. I really believe that, and to me, no matter what a person has done in their life, that doesn't mean that life should be taken away. In modern society, we have viable alternatives where a person can be kept out of the general population and that citizens can be protected against what further danger they pose, so I don't think it's necessary.
Adolf Hitler and the Nazis are responsible for executing millions of people. So, in that situation, like with the Nuremberg trials, would you support the death penalty in that situation?
Absolutely not. Same thing with bin Laden. You're creating a martyr out of a cause. And I've been to Germany the last few years talking to high school students and colleges about the death penalty in the schools there. And Germany hasn't had the death penalty for a number of years because they learned from the mistakes of what happens when you give the government the power to kill people, to exterminate its prisoners, which is what the Nazis and Adolf Hitler did. And that's what we're doing here in this country. We're taking prisoners from their cells and executing them. So we're no better than people like Adolf Hitler when we do that. And so it just makes no sense. And the people of Germany, look to the United States and how the things we've learned in history, how can we continue executing prisoners like we do? It just doesn't make any sense.
Does your religion play any part in your belief?
In my case, religion plays a very major part of my role. I supported the death penalty until I became convinced that my grandmother would have been appalled by the fact that this girl was on death row for her murder. I was convinced that my grandmother would have compassion for this girl on death row and for this girl's family. I felt my grandmother wanted someone in my family to have that same sort of compassion. I didn't have it. I was so convinced that's what she would have wanted. I begged God to give me love and compassion for this girl and for her family, and that prayer was answered. When my heart was touched with compassion, I no longer want her to be executed. I think she still needs to be responsible, held accountable for what she did. She's now in prison, been there for 23 years, but she's no longer under the sentence of death.